Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Mod Driven. Today, let's talk about every mod I'm going to show you that I've done on the Honda Civic back here. Now, some of them are fairly mundane, pretty trivial, and pretty simple, and some are a little bit more involved. There are 18 of them. So let's go ahead and start off with the most mundane, or the simplest, I suppose, and those are valve stem covers. Just a little black valve stem cover to get rid of the chrome or the cheapo plastic ones that came with the car. Next up, let's go to lug nut covers. These things are just little rubber, vinyl kind of covers that just slip on. They create a vacuum, a seal. You cannot pull these things off unless you have the little tool that comes with them. The good thing about them, they black out the chrome, of course, the lug nuts. You don't have to buy all new black lug nuts, which are expensive these days. And they prevent theft, or at least they deter it, because without the tool, these are pretty hard to get off, and you have to take all of them off to steal the wheels. Next up, let's go to the window trim blackout. Now, what I'm talking about is this trim right across here. It is a pre-shaped air release, or air type, I guess, vinyl covering. Very simple to put on. I am by me at all not a pro at doing this, and I was able to do it. And believe me, if I can do it, you can certainly do it. Of course, it gets rid of the chrome and it looks awesome. Next up, new roof trim or roof molding. When I got the car, this had weathered, started to pit, had little different colors and things in it, even started to warp a little bit. I bought new trim pieces. These just pull off. It's very simple to do, and strangely, pretty darn cheap coming from Honda themselves. Next up, black badges. Let's take a look at the front first. Right here, these Honda badges, they of course were chrome. These just come off. That one takes a little bit more effort. They do have pins in them, so not the easiest thing to do, I suppose. And then here in the back, we have one as well. This one has 2 pins in it and is really just held on with adhesive. If you wanted to go crazy, you could take all of the trim off inside of the trunk and put these little washers on the back that kind of hold it in. But that really is overkill. There's no reason to do that, in my opinion. Next up, while we're here in the back, I painted the exhaust tip. This, of course, was chrome. I just used a high temperature chrome paint, or grill paint, I should say. Very simple to do. I did use a brush. I did not spray it. And you can see from the finish, it really did come out very well. Very happy with that. For the next one, we need to move on up to the front. I got rid of the amber side lights or side markers. Put the smoked on there. It does have amber lights behind, so you still have the amber required lights, depending on the laws where you live, which I think is everywhere. Moving back to the side, I replaced this side only because it's the one that had the problem. This trim piece right along here. It kind of pulls up from the back and then pulls out from under the mirror. And you can do this without taking the mirrors off because it'll just slide under and then push down. The reason I replaced it is because this inner trim piece here, it's just a real thin rubber, was chipped out, torn off in places, almost like somebody stuck one of those door unlocker things, you know, those long metal pieces, and kind of ripped at it. Or maybe it was from somebody hanging their arm out of the window with the window down and caught that and tore it off as well. Again, very inexpensive piece to do, very simple. Another one of the easier, more personalized mods, of course, is the Rob Motive channel stickers. That's for my other channel. Rob Motive, of course, is all about the Toyota Tacoma sitting out there, and Rob Motive JT about the Jeeps, the Jeep Gladiator primarily. Again, another very easy mod that doesn't take a whole lot to do. Moving inside the car. Next up are the floor liners. You can see them right there. It came with the carpeted style. Now, I'm not a big fan of those because they never hold up, they get dirty, they start to wear. These things are great. These happen to be Huskies. There are many different kinds out there. I did the front, I did the rear, and I love the look of them and the versatility of them. I also put some red grab handles here on the back of the seats. You can get these in about any color you could imagine. It's just something really aesthetic for me. It's a good way for people to grab onto the back if they want to pull forward or whatever, but I just like the way that they look. Next up, the shift boot. Let's climb on inside here. I replaced the shift boot with something with a stripe in it. I really like this. Just gives a little bit of flair to the inside of the car, if you will. Something pretty cool, I think. I love the way that it looks. I also, while I was at it, did the shift knob. I wanted something different than that little dinky Honda knob. There are all kinds of shift knobs you can get out there. By the way, one thing I do want to mention before we carry on, all of these are on the channel. All you have to do is search Mod Driven and whatever you're looking for, and you'll find the install video for everything that I'm showing you. Maybe even the sticker on the side window. Next up, you may have noticed this little red button here. That is a garage door opener button. The car did not come with HomeLink, none of those buttons on the mirrors or anything. So I added my own. It's simply a momentary switch, and I'll show you where it goes to in a minute, but I have a wire running to a couple of different openers. They activate at the same time under the hood. Very easy to do. The hardest part is just taking apart the clicker, you know, the garage door opener, and soldering 2 wires in. That's really all there is to it. Next up, and I can't show you this because the car's not on, but I added a personalized screen image to the radio, the background screen. It happens to be a picture of my car. Now, we're gonna move on underneath the hood. There are 3 more under there. First off, you can see, well, let me mention this. Here are the garage door openers that I'm wired to. They work really well. Next is the hood strut. I added a couple of carbon fiber type. I'm sure this is not real carbon fiber. These were very inexpensive. But I don't need to use the old rod anymore. Matter of fact, I've completely taken it off the car. It used to lay over here somewhere. I think it's in the trunk. Now I can just use one hand and open and close the hood and leave it up with the hood struts that are on. I will say one thing about these. They're not powerful enough to completely open the hood without some effort, but nonetheless, they still work really well. Next, we're getting towards the end here, is the cold air intake. This, for me, really more of an aesthetic thing. You'll hear people talk about increases in power and fuel economy. That's all a bunch of BS. They don't do anything like that. It's really an aesthetic mod. Sometimes you can get a little extra sound out of them depending on what brand you go with. I haven't noticed any of that with mine. I just love the way that it looks. Now, we have one more. It was by far the most complicated one that I've done and the most risky, and that is the trunk spoiler. This did not come with the car. I put this on. It is an OEM spoiler from Honda. I did have to drill some holes. I think, if I recall, there are 4 holes total, 2 on each side. That is the riskiest part, but I will say it does come with a template. You can lay it on the hood, or on the trunk rather. Don't put it on the hood, and then you'll know exactly where to put it. So it's really not too bad as long as you take your time. Anyway, those are all of the mods that I've done to the Honda Civic to date. Love the way the car is coming. Of course, we need to do something with the wheels, maybe something with the tires. The tires are starting to look a little bit worn in the rear, I think. So we do need to change those, but that'll be something upcoming. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Have you done any of these? Doesn't necessarily have to be a Honda Civic. Could be any car, really. I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about the Toyota Tacoma, and Rob Motive JT, all about the Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? And while you're at it, smash the subscribe button here too. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.